Ridgeview, New Holland presents the McHale Baler at Mountain View Farm on the 24th of May, 2018.
So am I ready?
You're ready.
All righty. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know it's hard to get you out of the hay field, and honestly, I'd rather be there myself, but I'm here tonight because I want to talk about our product and a little bit about making high moisture hay. I need to introduce a couple of people that are here with me tonight. Tim and Mary Burnett, they are the owners of Ridgeview. If you'll raise your hand. And Alex Rinkowitz is one of our newest hires at the dealership, and she is doing an outstanding job of getting us presence on social media. If you've ever seen anything on Craigslist, Facebook, or Lord knows wherever else she puts stuff out there, she's responsible for it. So just wanted to introduce the rest of the folks here with me. As Steve Corfani mentioned to you earlier, you've already heard from two experts tonight, so I'm not going to bore you. I'm not an expert, but I can tell you I've been wrapping hay with Steve for probably about the same amount of time. We got into it together. He actually sold me my first wrapper, and I'm not an expert, but I've made just about every mistake that can be made doing silage hay. I feel like I've made some disasters, and I've made some really nice feed to go along with it. With that being said, I wanted to take a quick minute and talk about something Steve touched on a little bit, and that was individual bales versus inline bales. And I get asked that question 100 times a year when people come to see me to buy some silage equipment, and the answer to that question always starts with, it just depends. And Steve was right when he said it depends on what you're going to be doing with the bales. If you're a small operator like myself, you're only doing 25 or 30 bales at a time, you're much better off with an individual wrapper. We know for a fact that you get much better feed quality out of an individual bale versus a tube line wrap. And we know for a fact that they will last over into the next feeding season much, much better than an inline wrapped bale. With that being said, inline wrappers are probably more popular because they are faster and they do use less film. Everybody's interested in using less film, I get that. So we'll talk about our wrapper in just a minute, but first of all, no doubt most of you have heard about our new line of equipment we've taken on at Ridgeview is the McHale line. We believe it is the finest round baler and bale wrapping system available today on the market. And I've got a lot of reasons I'm going to tell you why real quick to back that up. 2 Januaries ago, Tim and I and our significant others traveled to the factory in Ireland, one of the absolute most impressive factories and assembly centers I've ever been on, and I've been to a lot of factory tours in 25 years. But this place was as clean. When you say you could eat off the floor, you truly could eat off the floor. It was the most impressive factory I've ever seen. So we think that we've got a real product here. It is a high-end baler. Be honest with you, it is not for everybody, but we feel like it is for the person that's really serious about making good quality, high moisture hay. As Butch would say, thinking about Butch, he would say he would probably bale anything from pine mulch to broom straw. And Bernie, where are you at, Bernie? Bernie Walters can attest to us, we actually baled mud with it last year. It didn't ferment or wrap very well, but we baled it. I don't think it fed too good either, did it?
You sold that to me.
Moving right along, I want to bring up a few items on this baler that back up my claim that it's probably the finest piece of baling equipment you can buy. And the first one starts right here in the front with a gearbox. We use a split drive gearbox, so we're bringing power into the center. We're driving off of one side. Here you see this is driving the baler, the rollers and the belts. The other side of that gearbox goes over and drives your rotor and your pickup attachment. So we're dividing the power up. We're not trying to get it all out of one shaft. That's a big deal. The second point to bring up is a nice wide pickup attachment, very heavy duty, 5 tine bars on the pickup, and we also have a drop floor. behind that pickup attachment. So if you get a plug in there, you simply disengage the PTO, drop the floor from the cab, re-engage the PTO, and the slug passes through, raise the floor back up, and you're baling again. Super easy. I will try to plug it tonight. I will promise you I will try to plug this baler up, and I will come back in front of the crowd and I'll show you how that's done. I probably will not be able to plug it though, but I'm going to try. The third point I want to bring up is the knives. This baler is equipped with a processor to chop the material into 4-inch lengths that you can turn that processor on and off. Our knives are hydraulically held into place, not held in with a spring. So our knives are not going to tend to drop out when you get in tough crop conditions like they would with a spring engaged. Net system on it is probably the simplest I've ever seen on any baler in my life. The roll of net wrap simply lays up here on this tray and it just spools off. You don't have to worry about the cardboard center stripping out, getting wet, failing. It just works and works every time. Any questions so far? It's very refreshing to see the drive chains on this baler. Number 100 Diamond brand, American-made drive chain on a European product. That's pretty impressive, I think. We ordered this bearing from our distributor. This is the main drive bearing for the baler drive side of the gearbox. Interesting to note out, when we ordered this just for show and tell, this is the only one Cummins and Bricker has ever sold. So that should tell you something. You want to pass that around? People to get a look at that. I have a sample of stripper bars here. If you want to come take a look at the differences between the New Holland, and I'm not trashing New Holland. It's still very dear to my heart, but look at the differences here. Much heavier duty, all galvanized, built to last a lifetime. Same thing with the tines on the pickup attachment. Built much heavier, built to last. When we were in Ireland, we talked to custom operators that had 125,000 bales on this very machine right here and still going strong. And that's 100,000 bales of silage hay, not dry hay. So it really tells you how this machine is built. It is built to last a lifetime. Questions? Did I miss anything? Come around and take a look at the back of the baler if you have a minute.
The grease system.
All McHale balers are equipped with an automatic oiler, and the new models for 2018 are coming with the automatic greaser as well. It's a huge deal. Less maintenance, less chain wear and fatigue.
How about variable size bales?
Good question. This baler is capable of going up to 66 inches in diameter, and we can guarantee you that will have as much hay in it as a 72-inch bale. They are just as dense and tight as a brick. One thing Steve brought up in his presentation was the recipe for making good silage hay. Water, sugar, and no air. This is where the no air part comes in. This bale is dense. And by having get ahead of myself here, but when we talk about the wrapper, 99% of a good wrapping job starts with the baler. I've been on both sides of that spectrum. trying to wrap sponges don't work as well as trying to wrap a nice hard bale.
And the standard width is 5?
Standard width on this bale is 4 foot.
Oh, 4.
So we can vary that down to 4 by 4, 4 by 5, 4 by 5.5.
But not the width.
The width is not adjustable, right? Not adjustable.
What is the width?
4 foot. Yeah. 7 foot 2 inch wide pickup attachment. Big enough to get over that swath without having to rake it. So it's one thing Brad talked about.
White belts.
We only have 3 belts on this bale chamber, 3 nice wide belts. Most all your balers today, you'll see 6 or 8 smaller, narrower belts. You see we only use 3. There's even an option now for 2018 models with 1 big wide belt. The guys that are interested in leaf loss not losing leaves on alfalfa, and delicate crops like that, they opt for that single belt option a lot. And that's what it was designed for. Big advantage there.
What's the drawback on that call?
Single belt. The only drawback that comes to my mind is if you were to run a stick through it, a rock or something tears it, now all of a sudden you have to replace the whole belt. They are tough though, I can tell you. Those belts are tough. They are endless belts, no lacings on them to give any troubles. So they're made to go the long haul. Any more questions on the Bale? 100 horsepower, and they ain't lying when they say 100 horsepower. This machine weighs in right at 9,800 pounds. So you need a horse in front of it. Like all McHale products, it does require a free flow return to sump for your hydraulic system. Even though you have two separate circuits, pressure and return for each one, you must have a free flow return. And the reason for that is the bale chamber will actually grow so rapidly and so much oil moving out of there because that machine will absolutely take the hay in faster than the oil can get out of the cylinders through the remote valve. That's why we go straight to the return to sump.
That's a lifetime. I guess it takes a lifetime to pay for it.
All right.
You said 100 horsepower PTO, right?
Yes, sir. 100 plus.
100 minimum.
Yep. On hilly ground, 125 is not too much. I can tell you. And good brakes. Good brakes and good tires. So, all right. So, any more questions on that before we move to the wrapper, real quick? Yes, sir.
Tell them about how you can adjust the density, field to field, crop conditions. How easy that is.
Everything is done from the monitor box in the cab. There's no adjustments that need to be made on the baler itself. So we can adjust the density of the core of that bale as well as the outside layer simply by making some changes on the monitor box. Right now we're set, I think we have it set on 180 bar and probably 140 on the core. And a little bit smaller core for spearing, handling. We want that outside shell to be really tight for going through the wrapper, using the hugger to squeeze it and stack those bales after they're wrapped. Good question. All right. We'll talk